Hello, aspirants, and welcome. Today, we're breaking down a really crucial policy, one that could totally reshape India's world of work, the Shram Shakti Niti 2025. This is a big one, a whole new framework for our labor ecosystem, and we're going to get into exactly what you need to know for your exams.
All right, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with why we even need this policy. Then we'll dive into its core vision and strategy, check out the new digital architecture that's supposed to make it all happen, and we'll wrap up with the most important part, the key takeaways for your exams. Let's get started.
So, to really get a grip on the sheer scale of what we're talking about, you need to remember one number, 500 million. That is the huge, staggering size of India's workforce. It's our single biggest productive asset. And this policy, it's for every single one of them. And that massive number brings us to the most fundamental question, really the question at the heart of this entire policy. As technology, the economy, and just the very nature of jobs are all changing so fast, how does India get its greatest asset ready for the future? Well, the Shram Shakti Niti is supposed to be the answer.
Okay, so first things first, let's start with the why. What's actually going on in India's labor market that's so serious it needs a whole new policy? Let's take a look at the core challenges.
The world of work is just transforming right before our eyes. You've got these huge structural shifts, like the explosion of the gig economy. Then there's massive technological disruption from AI and automation. We're also seeing a green transition, which is great for creating new green jobs, but it also displaces workers in other sectors. On top of all that, India has these 4 new labor codes, and we need a framework to actually implement them. And of course, there are the same old problems that won't go away. Wage gaps, skill mismatches. It's pretty clear the old system just can't handle this new reality.
So with all those challenges, what's the actual goal here? What I find really interesting about this policy's vision is that it's not just about economics. It's actually rooted deep in our civilizational ethos. And this brings us to a keyword you absolutely have to remember, Shrama Dharma. This idea basically elevates the concept of labor beyond just a simple economic deal. It sees work as something moral, even sacred, a contribution to the harmony of society. This one idea, the inherent dignity of work, really shapes the entire policy.
Now you know how important memory aids are for your exams, right? Well, this vision is built on 4 main pillars, and to help you remember them, we've got a great mnemonic for you, DICD. Just think of the phrase, dignity includes cooperative data.
So what does DICD actually stand for? Let's break it down. D is for dignity and equality of labor, which comes straight from that idea of Shram Dharma. The I is for universal inclusion, making sure everyone is covered. C stands for cooperative federalism, which means the center and the states have to work together. And finally, D is for data-driven governance, to make things transparent and efficient. These are the 4 foundational pillars.
Okay, so a grand vision is one thing, but how do you actually make it happen? How does it translate into action? Well, the policy breaks its mission down into 7 core strategic objectives. You can think of these as the engine that's going to drive all the change.
And yep, you guessed it, we've got another fantastic mnemonic for these 7 objectives. This one is absolute gold for a potential mains question. Just remember this simple phrase, UC Women's Tech Governance. Let's see what that's all about.
Let's unpack that. U is for Universal Social Security. S is for Occupational Safety and Health. The first E stands for Employment and Future Readiness. The second E is for Ease of Compliance and Formalization. W is for Women and Youth Empowerment. T is for Technology and Green Transitions. And finally, G stands for Good Governance and Convergence. Put them all together, and that's the strategic heart of the policy.
And look, this policy isn't just about abstract ideas, it sets real, measurable targets. A huge example, and this is a data point you should definitely remember, is the goal to boost women's participation in the workforce from where it is now up to at least 35% by the year 2030.
So this all leads to the most important question, right? How is all of this actually going to be implemented? Because a vision without a plan is just a dream. The policy's answer is pretty bold, a brand new digital and institutional architecture. Right at the heart of this new architecture is a concept you really need to get, Digital Public Infrastructure, or DPI. The best way to think about it is like a digital highway. Think about what UPI did for payments. It created a common platform that anyone can use and build on. The goal here is to do the exact same thing for employment services.
And this digital approach is a huge deal. It's a total paradigm shift. And listen up, because these next two phrases are absolute gold for your exams. The Ministry of Labor is changing its role from just being a regulator to becoming an employment facilitator. And its main platform, the National Career Service, or NCS, is going from being a simple job website to a full-blown DPI for employment. Remember those terms.
So how does this all work on the ground? Well, they're proposing a three-tier structure. At the very top, at the national level, you'll have a council, the NLPI, to oversee everything. Then, at the state level, you'll have state missions to handle things locally. And, this is key, at the district level, there will be new centers called DLERCs, which will act as a one-stop shop for workers.
Okay, we've got the vision, the strategy, the architecture, but what's the timeline? Let's check out the roadmap to see how this whole ambitious plan is going to roll out, and how it ties into that long-term vision of Viksit Bharat by 2047.
The rollout is split into three clear phases. Phase 1, from 2025 to 27, is all about laying the foundation, setting up the institutions, piloting the digital stuff. Then we move into Phase 2, which runs until 2030. That's all about expansion, rolling out key services across the country. And finally, Phase 3, which is everything beyond 2030, is about consolidation, aiming for 100% worker registration and a totally paperless, AI-driven system.
All right, this is it, the section you've been waiting for. Let's pull everything together into the most important part for your prep, the key exam takeaways. We put all the essential facts, the jargon, and those mnemonics you need right here for your revision.
Seriously, pause this and take a screenshot. This slide is your ultimate revision cheat sheet. Let's do a super quick review. The policy is the Shram Shakti Niti. Its vision is rooted in Shrama Dharma. The key jargon you have to know is employment facilitator and DPI for employment. You've got your two mnemonics for the pillars and objectives. Your key data point, 35% female workforce participation by 2030. And the three-tier institutional structure. You need to commit this slide to memory.
You know, when you boil it all down, this quote from the policy document itself just says it all. The whole point is to build a connected, transparent, and humane ecosystem, connecting India's deep-rooted civilizational values with the power of 21st century tech.
And so, that really leaves us with this one big, final question to think about. The vision is to merge Shrama Dharma, the inherent dignity of all work, with the new kind of digital Dharma, an ethical, transparent, tech-driven system. But can this incredibly ambitious digital framework truly deliver on the profound human promise it's trying to serve? Well, that is the fundamental challenge, isn't it?